Hi friends, welcome in or welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley if this is your first time here, and if you are a returning subscriber, did you miss me? Today I'm going to be doing my mid-year check-in for my reading, which has been much slower this year than it has in the past few years, but let's address the elephant in the room. I have been away from YouTube for probably 3 months now. The last time you would have saw me, we had just bought a house and we were moving in, getting settled, getting things together, and then right after that it was like boom, boom, boom with the travel schedule. I was on a very tight deadline and life just got in the way and something had to fall to the wayside. And this time it was YouTube. But things are somewhat starting to calm down. We are going into the very end of summer. The kids go back to school in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And I am trying to get back into a place where I'm reading again. Reading has been my first love. And although I'm writing books, I still want to talk about the books that I'm reading, rave about them, put them on other people's radar, and just get back to what I love, and that is gushing and talking about my books. With this being a mid-year check-in, I think it's also important for me to say that moving forward with my channel, while of course books are first and foremost, I do plan to really lean in to the lifestyle and writing that I include in my channel description. If it's one thing that this year has taught me, it's that although I make a plan, it doesn't always turn out in the way that I would like for it to. And while I do plan to read and have reading vlogs, I'm also like actively trying to make sure that I am fostering the dream of writing full time. So you are going to see writing vlogs and maybe even writing content here. I've had a lot of time to think about the direction that I want this channel to go in, and I really want it to be all encompassing of me, of Ashley, and with that means including every aspect of the things that I love and the things that I want to share here. So yes, it's going to be books, writing, and lifestyle. But without further ado, let's get right into the mid-year check-in. Now, as I stated earlier before, this year has been kind of everywhere when it has come to my reading, and I just have not read as much as I would have liked to. A lot of my time has been with writing and hitting deadlines, and I just haven't had the time to read as much as I would like, but I'm hoping that the second half of the year gives me more time. I'm not on any particular deadline that I am owing something to somebody, but just the little deadlines that I set for myself. So this year I have only completed 17 books, which is fair. I'm not mad about that. I wish I could say that the book buying has stopped, but that's for another video. I have a whole situation planned for you all. So let's get into these questions and how these 17 books rank. Okay, the first question is, how is your reading going? I think I really just answered that. It is going. I don't feel like I'm completely falling off. I read when I have the time. Compared to other years, I haven't read as much, but I'm still getting some things in, and for the most part, I have felt pretty good about the things that I have picked up this year. I have gained some new authors that I have really enjoyed their work, and so while I have not read as much, I would still say that this reading year has gone good because I've been exposed to new authors and I have loved a majority of the things that I've picked up. The next question is best book you've read so far in 2025. Okay, when it comes to best book, I don't know if I can narrow it down, but I will show the 2 books that stand out when I look through what I have completed. And the first book was the first new read of this year, and that is Lights Out by Navessa Allen. I don't really know what I was expecting going into this book, but it left me with a feeling of I love this and I want more of it. I immediately pre-ordered book 2. I have it on my TBR cart waiting to be read, and I just had such a good time with this. I think this was a funny, dark rom-com. It hit all the buttons for me and I flew through it. Like, I did not want to put it down. I felt like it was very inspirational from a writer's perspective, and just seeing how she wove this story together and how she brought the characters to life, in my opinion, I absolutely adored this. So this would definitely be considered one of my favorite reads of this year. My second favorite read is Odd Man Rush by Kristen Granada. I read this in one sitting. We were in Vegas. My husband was on his conference room floor and I was in our hotel room devouring this book. I loved everything about it. It is an FFM, my very first one, but it's also a hockey romance, and if you're not new here, you know how I feel about those. I just adored this book. It was so good. Kristen Granada is so well with her words as far as bringing the characters to life, making you feel something, pushing the uncomfortable, and also, like, it's fairly short in my opinion, packing the punch that she did in such amount of in amount of time. She doesn't waste words. It's very boom, 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 keep it going. And I loved everything about it. I cannot wait to continue in this series. I picked up the next 2 books at the Meet and Greet Cute book signing that I attended last month in Knoxville, and highly recommend this series. The first book was good. The second book was fantastic, and I just cannot wait to see how she builds up on this world. Okay, so the next book is Best Sequel You Have Read in 2025. So Best Sequel again goes to On Men Rush by Kristen Granada. This is the only sequel that I have read this year, and I'm currently in the middle of one that is turning out to be promising, but as of right now, this is the only one that I have finished. I'm not going to go into the huge spiel. You just heard me gush about it, but this is the best sequel that I have read thus far in 2025. Favorite reread. And it has been months since I've been able to actually do a reread, but I do have one reread of this year, and that is Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This was a buddy read at the beginning of the year, and I completed it pretty early in the year. This is my only reread, so I can't really say favorite reread, but of course I absolutely adore this book series, and it was fantastic reading about Castile. It's still a good book. I still had a good time revisiting the world, and I'm currently stuck in the middle of book 3 because again it was a reread and we both just kind of put it down. So, you know, favorite reread of 2025 so far, only reread. Same. The next question is the genre that you have been loving reading thus far, and I really haven't gone into any other genre this year. I haven't had time. I've just been reading romance. I did have 2 nonfiction that I have completed this year, and I absolutely adored both of them, but I've just been reading romance. If you want to go into subcategories, I have read some romantasy, sports romance, dark romance. I mean, nothing really outside of the normal of my typical reading. Later in the year, I do hope to pick up some thrillers and maybe even some horrors, especially going into fall. And I do feel myself getting back into a place that I want to read fantasy again. So maybe at the end of the year, my genre reading will look a little different, but as of right now, it's just been romance for your girl. The next question is new release that you haven't read yet, but you want to. I have 2 books that I'm going to very quickly talk about. The first one being Save Your Breath by Candy Steiner. First of all, how adorable is this cover? I got all of the trope covers when she did like a pre-order sale of them, and they are all super gorgeous with the tropes and the characters listed on the front. I absolutely adore them. This is one of my favorite hockey series, and I'm very excited to read about this one. It's a hockey star and a pop star romance, but this is one of my most anticipated reads of this year, and I just cannot wait to continue in this series so that I'm caught up for whenever she releases the next one. And then the other release that came out this year that I cannot wait to get to is Caught Up, which is book 2 to Lights Out. Now, I've already heard some critiques that this does not live up to the hype of the first one, but I honestly think that the couple that this book is going to be following give a different vibe than Allie and Josh, so I'm not really expecting the same things applied to this book. I do still feel confident in the author's writing to pull me in, and I feel like because I've had so much time away from Lights Out, it will allow me to go in here with a fresh mindset. So I am very excited to get to Caught Up. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. What I'm very excited to come out is my book Redeemed. Obviously, I will pop a picture up of it here. This is no secret if you've been here for a while, but I don't really keep up with releases. I just kind of get them as they appear. So I honestly can't even tell you any other book that is coming out at the end of the year. I have more so than any other year been so disconnected from releases and things like that. What I can say is like the only one that was really on my radar for this year was Bury Your Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab, and I already picked that up. So that was pretty much it. But off the top of my head, I'm looking at stacks of books like that's really going to help me with this question. I don't know what's coming out this year. I have no clue. So I can't really answer this question in good faith. I guess I could go look, but you know, it's not even worth it me going through this list because I have no idea. I just don't know. I don't keep up with book releases. When something comes across my timeline that has caught my attention, or if it's a series that I'm actively reading, that's really the only time that I can. Oh, okay. I totally lied. So one of the books that I'm sure I will talk about because it will probably be a question comes out next month. The sequel to that comes out next month. It is an indie author. Her name is Tahesi B. Williams, and I absolutely love her writing, but book 2 to the book that I read earlier this year comes out next month. She's been like putting them out very quickly. It is called Strange Seduction, and it follows the 2 main characters from book 1, and I'm absolutely excited to get into that book. I already read like the first chapter in a sneak preview that she sent out in her newsletter, and I just know I'm going to eat it up. That is one book I am excited for in the end of the year. I found one. Biggest disappointment. I don't want to call it a disappointment. I will continue to be very cautious about how I speak about other authors' works on this channel. I would just say that this series was not for me, but that does not mean that you shouldn't pick it up. And that would be the 365 series, which was a buddy read that I read with my aunt and cousin. And while, you know, I love me a good mafia romance, this was good for what it was. It wasn't my particular brand of mafia romance. I would highly suggest listening over like reading with your eyes, because I think it makes for a good listening experience. But yeah, that was, you know, one that I thought just because it was mafia that I was gonna like really enjoy it, and it ended up not being for me. I did read the whole series, and you know, it is what it is. Everything is not for everybody. Biggest surprise. Let's see, what was my biggest surprise of the year? Biggest surprise, I think I'm gonna go with The Problem with Falling by Brittany Cherry, and it is one that I read in preparation for Meet and Greet Cute because she was a signing author there. And I would say it was the biggest surprise because it brought so much emotion out of me. There were multiple times where my husband walked in on me crying while reading that book, and he knows I don't really cry when reading or watching anything, so it was a complete shock to him. But I absolutely enjoyed that book, and I think I was just surprised by the emotion that it pulled from me, and I just absolutely loved it. And I did buy the physical copy while at Meet and Greet Cute because I wanted to own it. And the book was written so good that when I got to the end of it, I did not even realize that it was the third book in a series. So I actually started a series backwards, but they're all interconnected standalones, and it didn't read like the third book in the series. It was so good. I really enjoyed it. And Brittany Cherry's husband at Meet and Greet Cute was like, I think that book was written for me. That's why it's her favorite one and like the reader's favorite. It was really a cute situation, but that was the biggest surprise for me. Favorite new author, debut or new to you? I don't like to pick just one, so I'm going to give you 3 favorite new authors, and that is going to be Nevessa Allen, of course, because she hooked me with Lights Out. It's also going to be Brittany Cherry because I do plan to read more of her works. That book left a lasting impression on me. I really enjoy her writing and the emotion that she includes in her writing, so I do want to read more. And then, of course, I'm going to say Tehesi B. Williams because Strange Sweetness was such a beautiful story. I will pop a cover up of it here that I absolutely adore, and book 2's cover is even more beautiful. I actually want to own these so I can have them on my shelves. But those are 3 new to me authors that I read their works for the first time and absolutely adored and love their writing style and cannot wait to read more from them. Okay, newest favorite character. Okay, newest favorite character. I think this is gonna have to go to Strange Sweetness again with Carmen Reyes and Theo Clayton. I absolutely adore these 2 characters. Carmen is your headstrong man-eater of a woman, and Theo is your giant teddy bear, no pun intended, down bad for his girl, like down bad, and we love to see it. And I really enjoy just watching the chemistry between both of these characters. But Carmen like really embodied what I love in a female character, which is very headstrong, very about her business, like sometimes a little too like quick to jump the gun and like cut people off or move on or like make changes in order to protect themselves. But when they finally let their guard down and allow themselves to be loved, it just makes for a beautiful situation. And yeah, I loved her. I would say, is probably my favorite new character. A book that made you cry. I already talked briefly about this, but I'll actually hold up the book this time, and that is A Problem with Falling by Brittany Cherry. This is the only book this year that has legit brought tears to my eyes and like had me crying and just feeling all of the emotions. Highly recommend. A book that made me happy. I'm trying to keep from saying the same books over and over again, but honesty is the best policy, and a book that made me happy was Lights Out. I know people say all the time that the audiobook is absolutely amazing, but I read this with my eyeballs and it had me still laughing out loud. I was just hooked and captured, laughing, smiling, engaged in this story. So I would say that this was a book that made me happy. It came at just the right time. It is exactly what I needed, and it delivered through and through. The next question is most beautiful book that you've bought this year or received. And technically I bought this book last year as a pre-order, but I received it this year, and it is the Monsters and Masquerade fantasy horror fiction anthology curated by Jordan Fleming. But it was an OwlCrate book, and y'all, this book is stunning. Okay, it's stunning. Like, now let's look under the dust jacket because duh. It is so beautiful, worth every like dime. Okay, seriously, so beautiful. And then here's the back of it, and then we have beautiful end pages as well. The back looks the same. And then this also has a reversible dust jacket. But the color, the aesthetics, the foiling, the sprayed edges, I love everything about this book. And I honestly cannot wait to read this. I think this is going to be a highly anticipated read for me come October, and it's an anthology. I have never read an anthology, but now I have 2 horror anthologies to like break me in. So this is the most beautiful book I've received in the mail this year. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? So I will just be honest, there is no book on my shelf right now that I'm looking at that I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to read this year. Obviously there are always books that are higher up on my like TBR, but there's nothing I'm like dying to read and it's like I have to. If I could give general answers and not be extremely specific, I would definitely say I would want to prioritize my reread of the Pucking Around series to get ready for whatever book is coming, maybe at the end of this year. I don't know. Am I getting a new book in that series this year? Okay, so apparently there's another book coming out this year, Pucking Strong. Is it already out? When does it come out? Y'all, it literally comes out this week. What freaking fracking rock have I been living under? I need to go and pre-order that. But okay, so I need to prioritize my reread of Pucking Around because I am now going to be 2 books behind. So I still need to read Pucking Sweet, and then Pucking Strong comes out in 2 days. So there's that. I also want to prioritize reading Ali Hazelwood's books. You know, this week has been a lot of talk about the casting for The Love Hypothesis, and that book has been on my TBR for quite some times. But also, I literally have 5 or 6 of her books because I know I have some on my Kindle as well, and I have not read a single thing from that author. So I would like to prioritize reading her work as well. And then Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I love V.E. Schwab. So yeah, I want to make it a priority to read her newest release. Favorite video or post that you have done this year? And I would just say that probably my favorite was the moving vlog, mainly because I was able to film that over such a long period of time and then put it all together and see the joy on our faces of like touring houses and realizing we're gonna buy a new house, signing, getting the house, doing all the things. Like, that was my favorite video of this year that I put out, hands down. And yes, I'm just asking for grace as I make my return to YouTube, and I'm super excited to be making videos again. And I just hope that you all are here for the ride. I want to share so much more, like I said, about my writing journey and obviously what I'm reading and my reading goals. If you made it this far, leave me the book stack emoji for the 17 books that I read this year. And if you are not already subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, make sure that you give me a thumbs up. And if you enjoyed my content, enjoyed this video, make sure you share with your friends, family, and bookish people so that we can continue to build this bookish community. That is all from me today. I will see you all in the next one. Bye.